Hello everyone, I hope you're all safe and well during this difficult time. Martin and I still have some content to keep people who are staying at home from becoming completely insane, so to follow up on our previous 5 parts of what we want from a future Mafia game, if it ever happens, we said this final video would have a similar structure to part 3 of the series, by revolving around your personal suggestions for the next game. Now there was a lot of overlap and stuff repeated from previous videos, but we did our best to pick out things that we feel were pretty interesting. So here we go. Number 1, more in-depth clothing. Now something we've been seeking from a future Mafia game is a larger range of clothing and accessories for our protagonist, ensuring we can place our stamp on that character by customising his attire to our personal preferences, starting with the head, choosing between multiple hats and a separate space for glasses or shades. Have the upper body reserved for shirts, ties, another slot for jackets and coats, while legs have suit pants, trousers, belts, socks and a variety of different shoes. Give players the full freedom to mix and match separate pieces of owned clothing, change the colour of each section to completely tailor the character's look and have the gangster that you want. Number 2, scripted world events and small stories. Now outside of the main storyline, it would be nice to see the world filled with a variety of smaller stories that can be one-off interactions with a specific character or a continuous story that perhaps takes place in multiple locations and chapters throughout the game that can be missable and discovered through free roaming, being a nice way of rewarding those players who take the time to explore the open world by finding these small ongoing stories that offer that extra bit of life for the city and show a different side to our protagonist, with these characters being members of our Mafia family, owners of stores and business runners to give the world some memorable personalities that don't exactly play a major part in the overall story. Number 3, an upgrade system. Now expanding upon a point we made on the previous what we want regarding a reputation system that increases or decreases through our actions, completing major missions that would change how the player experiences aspects of the game and how NPCs react to our protagonist. What we want are some other small character progression options, from improving driving, gun handling, stamina that increase simply through use, so the more we drive in game, successfully drift, threading the needle through traffic, then we can see our character's driving skill progressively getting stronger and the handling of each car becoming more responsive, which in turn opens up further street races for the player or discounts in car garages, giving us cheaper possibilities for customization options of each vehicle. Our main character's use of firearms could become noticeably better the more we use weapons, with a steadier aim, draw speed and even improve the reload animations and speed of each reload to an extent as we progress, while stamina improves from running, which in turn would give us a small health boost and allows our character to sprint for a longer duration. Number 4, so here are 3 story concepts that were offered by you guys. A Mafia game set in 1920s, New York City, which begins during finishing the Castellamarese War, and we get to experience the mob's major transition period from a boss of bosses to the birth of the Commission, in which we play as a character whose family struggles with that change. Story concept B, continue from where Mafia 2 left off, in which we get full closure to the story, with the Chinese Mafia having a major conflict with Italian Mafia family, in which we get to see Leo, Joe and the Vinci family dealing with the inevitable consequences from Mafia 2. Story concept C, a setting that takes place during the year 1933 when Prohibition ended. It would be interesting to follow the Mafia as they're forced to transition into new methods of making money after losing their biggest form of income in illegal liquor. Have our protagonist work alongside the Mafia families as they pursue and fight for new rackets. Number 5, more services. Now one of the biggest things brought up by you guys was more services being offered throughout the endgame that would in turn give players extra options concerning spending money and easier ways to travel throughout the world. Working tram lines, trains, bus routes and taxi services that the player can use to travel to specific locations on the map or the player's waypoint. In the city, have more enterable buildings for our protagonist, like tailors, gun stores, hair salons, supermarkets, malls, safe houses, theatres, banks, drinking at bars and eating at restaurants and replenishing our fuel at gas stations, etc. that each provide purchasable items and services to the player. Number 6, a stripped back HUD, or HUD for all you weirdos. Now something we'd like to see simplified from Mafia 3 is the game's HUD, which takes up way too much space and feels rather high tech for a game in the late 1960s. For Mafia 4 what we want is a less modern UI that's more basic, less distracting and befitting of the game's timeline and setting, with options to simply disable aspects of the HUD like the speedometer, mission marker, mission display at the top left corner, the rear view mirror, the fake signposts that appear after setting a waypoint. We'd like to see everything simplified going forward. Number 7, robbing stores. Now each service provider or store should be able to be robbed by the player in different ways, by holding up the owner, sneaking in or ordering men to accompany for larger robberies of banks or jewellery stores. Also it would be nice to have an option to rob pedestrians by grabbing them and being presented with a button to prompt to rob, or by pointing our weapon at them, which could lead to kidnapping and hold up missions to add extra variety and gives the player another option to make money. Number 8, a social tab and photo mode. Another nice addition would be a form of social stats in the game menu to compare with your friends, missions complete, collectibles found, leaderboard for kills, deaths, time played, and an option to view taking photos by other players that are showcased via an icon on the map. Yet have no emphasis on online play. It's simply a single player game with some optional social aspects that can be disabled in the menus if need be. Now here are some honourable mentions and the most common suggestions, so your suggestion might be in here or something similar to it. Number 1, have 2K Check create a future game in the series. Number 2, ensure we have a strong return to the Mafia roots with an Italian American as our protagonist and focus on the actual Mafia. Number 3, only release a finished game by giving the development team time to flesh out their ideas and fix potential bugs. Number 4, give us full closure for Joe's story, please. Number 5, a Las Vegas setting or Mafia 1 and 2 remastered. Number 6, working telephones to call off police by contacting connections in the police force, calling emergency services who show up to the location, or call scene numbers on advertisements and getting an actual response. Number 7, if possible have our protagonist's hair and facial hair grow organically. Number 8, radio hosts that introduce songs and reference in-game world events after the completion of major missions. Give players the ability to create custom playlists out of the songs in the game, to have a channel dedicated to our favourite music in-game. Number 9, inclusion of animals like cats and dogs in city areas and other wild animals in rural locations. Number 10, single player DLCs similar to Mafia 2 and 3 in which we can play as different characters, each expansion taking place in a newly unlocked location and district to set it apart from the main game. Number 11, add different audio languages. Number 12, expand upon Mafia 3's responsive controls and reactive gunplay. Number 13, realism mode. Outside of easy, normal and the hard difficulties, what we want is a realism mode that has no health regeneration. Players must eat or use medical equipment if they wish to heal. Number 14, and finally, one last, a readout from Joe. Just one. But that's the end of the video and the series of what we want for now at least. Hangar 13 will be announcing their next project over the next few months, which would lean towards being a new IP. If it's Mafia, good. If it's a new game, then good luck to them and we hope it's an interesting idea for a game. For the last time, let us know your ideas for Mafia 4 and we hope you guys are all safe and healthy during these strange times. We'll be making more content on here as we're in isolation and hopefully can have videos for you guys to keep you somewhat distracted from the chaos recently. So for more content, stay tuned here on AAA Digest. Bye bye.
Everything's absolutely splendid. Walking down the street and you hear that heavy beat.